National. Merriam-Webster defines it as relating to a coalition of political parties or under a federal government. Although I wonder how much of the words federal and coalition apply to the average Indian. A country where even average becomes a tricky term, obvious if the very perception of standardized citizens changes every 200 kilometers. And not just space or distance, these meanings change with time too. Let's consider my example. 6 years old, nation to me was the flag flying above all horizons, or that found at the back of my NCERT textbook, or that which I scribbled on ruled pages for a time pass, with colors which I was made to memorize as saffron, green and white. My EVS textbook taught me the national emblem, the 3 tigers and the bulls are symbols of pride and might, the rhyme which still can't be forgotten. The peacock, the tiger, the mango, figures and beings parroted on the lisp of my tongue, honored by the title. Funny how they couldn't even acknowledge their very own honor. A time when anthem to me weren't just words spoke in attention, but a whole of 49 seconds of seeing everyone around, best friend or sidewalk stranger, uniting together with every note binding us in a silent symphony, with our heads kissing the skies but our feet rock and grounded. 11 years old, I ably read the headlines of a morning newspaper. 6 CRPF soldiers killed in Maoist attacks. Fighters at Siachen freeze to keep our lives. An army brat myself, army to me was monthly ration supply of mixed fruit jams and packs of brown bread we never liked. It was roaming in olive green gypsies to dinner parties with a series of good evening uncle and auntie. It was the smell of brasso swarming from leather belts and glittering badges in the balcony of my house every morning. All 11 years of my life, and now they tell me that this institution, which to me was more like a culture, was more than dinner parties and ration supplies, ceasefire violations on Jammu borders. Again. They scream down my throat ideologies of pseudo-news readers and their defense analysts. Colonel Rajiv, do you have an answer for those killings in Kashmir? We need tougher soldiers at our stealthy borders. Why is the Indian government still keeping so quiet? And so they went on with their debates and their agendas amidst primetime debates, viewed channels like the bodies of green camo. Just another bait with just another panel. And I, like a faithful spectator, watched, wiping my shallow tears for the mortals deep dug. Now 15 years old, much didn't change in our little halo, but at least some of the dictionary's adjectives were now well defined, like how the words unfaithful, seditious and azadi stood for the envious green-clad ragers, and how the ones like Rashtriya and Nivasi stood for the pious saffron-clad crusaders. Oh, had I mentioned both being colors of the same flag? And oh, not just adjectives, even phrases we labeled, how the difference between Allahu Akbar and Hindustan, Hamara, wasn't just of religions, but the fine line between terrorism and patriotism. 16 years old, moving in from dictionaries and colors, there are now labels for animals like a sudden mesolandry springing in the jungles, the cow now excluded from the food chain, the goddess above are mere mortals. The same whose carcasses blatantly greet us on roads once they use us over. Today, at 17, my language sprouts my nationalism. Bhaiya, Hindi nahi bolte, kahan se aaye ho? Anti-nationalist is to anti-matter, and as I say this, is it more national to burn batons and march in the name of our martyrs, or to help that 80-year-old near the skywalk that you pass through every day? Is it more national to swing our flag in every national holiday, or to pick up the flag strewn later on the same roads? Is it more national to update my hate towards ISIS in 140 characters, or treat my Pakistani college mate like any other? So there you go, Merriam-Webster, what national means to me. Definitely not a definition, but what these colors, languages, and animals my country frames me to think in.